It's gonna be tricky.
Rick's excited, and so am I.
I'm tired too.
Rick's tired.
I can't stand it.
Welcome to the Rowdy.com Big Three, sitting alongside former Cup driver Rick Mast. How many races did you run in your career?
I don't know, man. What
800 something?
Who's the cleanup crew in here? This place is dirty.
It's a mess, Rick.
Okay. What? How many what?
Yeah, Cup races.
How many what?
Cup races did you run?
364.
364. Dang, that's a lot of races.
It's in the books, man. It's in the record books.
That's pretty cool. I'm Bassmaster, of course, Rick Mast, and Buzz Cutler has today's 3 burning questions in NASCAR racing.
I do, and Rick
What
Mast,
could they be?
Rick Mast, I look to you for validation.
Burning. Oh, Lord.
Oh, here we go.
Oh,
I wrote a blog the other day.
He's going to ask about Pearson and Petty.
I wrote a blog the other day saying Petty's the king, Earnhardt's the intimidator, but Pearson is the best driver ever to get behind the wheel of a stock car. I need you to validate my opinion.
I raced against David one time.
Really?
Yeah, in 1978 maybe.
How old were you?
I was a teenager. Southside Speedway. You knew about David Pearson being a big super speedway driver, right? He could win at Charlotte,
Right.
Daytona, and all these places. But in the masses, I don't think we understood that he was a good race car driver. Well, we raced a little race in Southside Speedway, Southside Richmond, Virginia, and he came in there. I remember racing against him at night, and I remember, ooh, this guy's good. You know what I mean?
Right.
This guy, he's not just a speedway driver. He can drive a short track. You know? That was my first and only time racing against that guy. And
How old was he at that point?
I guess 90, 95, something like that. I don't really know. You know, I don't know what he was. But, yeah, if you listen to the King says he's the best driver there ever was. Maybe some of the press didn't really pick up on him as much because he wasn't, as Jimmy Johnson goes, fan-friendly or press-friendly.
Right.
And I think he was just a shy guy from South Carolina, you know, that could drive the heck out of a race car. And I think maybe that added to a little bit. I mean, the King is the King and always will be the King, but the King had that persona about him, man.
Yeah.
That charisma that just...
He did sort of move us into...
He moved us in. Well, yeah. I mean, I tell everybody now when they come in, I told NASCAR this a dozen times, when you bring a rookie in, you need to have a 101 Richard Petty school. Richard Petty 101 fan school and media school.
This is how you do it.
This is how you deal with the fans. This is how you deal with the media. You know, going after Richard Petty. The way he did it, the way he set the standard for all of us all the years.
All right, let's bring it back to the present with issue number 2. Yesterday at the Myers Brothers luncheon, bunches of awards were handed out.
Bunches?
Bunches of awards.
Bunches.
Darian Grubb
got
Crew Chief of the Year award, and I guess, you know, it's because of the overachievement of Stewart-Haas Racing, but could that award really be given to anybody other than Chad Knaus?
Well...
I'm going to say no.
Much as I hate to admit it, Buzz, no. I did like finally, at the end of the year, the last race, Knaus had to bow down to his driver.
Yeah.
He had to finally say, I've seen Jimmy do things I've never seen a race car driver do before in a race car. And I'm like, finally, after 5 years of watching this, or however many years it's been now.
8 with the 2 of them.
Finally, Chad finally acknowledges his driver's talents, you know, and it's not all about Chad. Thank you, Chad, for that.
Chad is crazy. You told me once you had to put racing before everything. Family, God, everything.
It's all in, Bass. It's all in.
And clearly, these guys, I mean, I said, you know, he probably feels like if he goes out with a girl, he's cheating on his race car. You know what I mean?
Probably so. Hey, listen, all through the history of NASCAR, when you've got a crew chief that's really, really good, that's the way he is. He wakes up thinking it. That's all he does all day long. He goes to bed thinking it. I mean, he's just consumed by that racing, that race car. That's the way those good guys are. And inevitably, probably 95% of them suffer burnout at some point. I've seen it with all these great crew chiefs. The guys that's not so good maybe or not really into it, they just kind of go along all through the years, you know, and never really suffer burnout because they're never really into it. Knaus is a good candidate for burnout someday. I don't know when, but he probably will.
How many years
Evernham did it. I don't know. I'll probably give him 3.
3 more.
3, yeah. The
Before
way
he's like, his head just explodes.
And it might just happen next year. I mean, we might show up one day and all of a sudden the media says, Knaus is not here at the racetrack. We don't know where he's at. Well, we know, folks, what's happened.
He just finally hit the wall.
He hit the wall and exploded. But, you know, he's into it. He's sharp, good organization, good driver. But crew chief of the year, Darian Grubb, he deserves to be in the top 3, that's for sure.
Yep.
You know, maybe the top 4 also. But I don't know. It's hard to go against.
Sometimes
Knaus.
a guy's open under the basket, just pass him the ball. Just make the obvious choice. Chad Knaus is obviously the best crew chief in the garage.
Good job.
All right.
Buzz.
Issue number 3. Of all the guys, you know, you've seen sort of ready to take the next step, ready to move up to the elite level, who do you think the most likely candidate in 2010 is to emerge like, you know, Brian Vickers took a step up this year, for instance? You think that's...
You think I'm going to do it?
Yes.
How about Junior?
Junior's been there.
He's just not there
But
anymore.
he's not there anymore. And I'm not going to talk about Junior. Don't ask me a thing about Junior because I'm not going to talk about him because I don't understand it. And the boy, he's won 18 races with the Budweiser team, and he hasn't won now but one race with Hendrick. And he can drive a race car. I raced against him. He's a talented driver. He's not winning now. Don't know why it ain't happening. Don't want to talk about it.
But we're not talking about
We're
it.
not talking about it.
But
I
if
don't
you were
know.
going to talk about
How about David Rudiman? What do you know about this guy?
You know what? I just don't know. I mean, you know, there's guys out there, Buzz, if you want to answer Buzz's question, which we keep avoiding. But, I mean, you look at the Martin Truexes of the world. Who knows? We think Martin has it.
Right.
But the teams he's going to, are they going to be able to do it for him? Who knows? The Australian cat, you know?
Ambrose.
I mean, we just saw signs of brilliance out of this guy this year, you know? And, but to be able to do that week after week after week, I mean, you got to do it every week, man. You know what I mean?
What is the mental aspect must be a pretty big part of it, I would think.
It is a big part of it, but the mental aspect is related to, or it comes from, how you perform on the racetrack. Okay, most of these guys, when they get into the Cup, they're good anyhow. That's how they got the Cup, and they get out there and they're full of themselves, man. They can whip everything because they've always done that, whipped everybody. And they get in Cup, and all of a sudden, I can't whip anybody. You know, you're like, why can't I whip anybody? Well, these are the elite. These are the best of the best. So then you have to go through that progression of stepping it up and stepping it up. And you have to have a team behind you that can do that with you, you know. And if you don't, it ain't going to happen. But quite a few out there, Buzz, I don't know. I'm not going to predict anybody's going to come out next year.
Well, let's talk about Junior then.
I don't want to talk about Junior any longer.
That has been your Rowdy.com Big 3 for today. For Rick
Sweet.
Mast and Buzz Cutler, I'm Bass Masters. We will see you next time on the program.
Hire a cleaning lady, man. Look at this place. Jeez.
How about a cleaning man?
Well, anything. Buy a broom. Y'all own a broom?
Rowdy.com, built by race fans, for race fans.